Hi ladies, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Shekinah. For those of you who are new here, welcome. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you my reasons or the reasons why I no longer support or encourage 50-50 relationships. And I'm referring to financial, like when you're splitting bills straight down the middle, you're paying half the rent, you're paying for half the groceries. I'm going to be sharing with you why I no longer support that or encourage that, why I would no longer or never ever get myself into a relationship like this again. So if this is something that you'd be interested in, then please keep on watching. Alright, so I want to start off by saying that men and women are not created the same. We are so different in our thinking. Physically, we're different. Emotionally, we respond to things differently. And this is not to say that we don't deserve the same level of respect or we should not have access to the same opportunities or resources, right? But when we look at things, it's pretty clear that we are different, right? For example, women tend to respond to things more emotionally, whereas men tend to be more rational. Women are generally more submissive, whereas men tend to be dominant, right? And again, this is not me saying that a woman can never be rational or that men can never be emotional. However, when we think about things or when situations arise, we see that instinctively women would respond to things in a very different way to how a man would respond, even if the situations are identical, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. My number one reason for no longer supporting 50-50 relationships would be financial security. And as women, I feel like we thrive in an environment where we feel secure, and that is emotional security. When he is considerate of our feelings, he considers how his actions would make us feel and things like that. We also want to feel physical security in terms of him being a protector in the event that something happens, that he would defend you. And I think we often neglect, especially Black women. I don't want to make this a race thing, but as the conversation progresses, you'll probably realize exactly where I'm coming from and why I feel it's so important to highlight Black women specifically, because this has not been the norm for us. We have not been used to being provided for or that life of security from Black men or other men or whoever, you know what I mean? But yeah, financial security as well. When you're able to, there's no better feeling than when you can relax and know that, hey, I'm taken care of. I don't have to worry about these things, or I don't have to sit here and be so stressed out because these bills aren't being paid, because there's someone taking care of that. And that allows you then to thrive in the roles that I believe that women are created for, right? In our roles. When we are able to thrive in our roles and fully immerse ourselves in it, we function way better. And of course, we don't have to rely on doing the other set of things. We don't have to wear two hats all the time. You know what I mean? So I think that financial security, it definitely gives you the ability to feel that when you are in a relationship where the man is a provider. So that's one of my very first reasons for no longer supporting 50-50 relationships. If you're in a 50-50 relationship, you're not going to have that sense of security because you're also going to have to be giving that contribution. You know what I mean? Yeah. Point number 2 would be submission and leadership. And like I mentioned before, women are naturally supposed to be or designed to be more submissive. And I'm not saying all women submit to all men. That is definitely not what this conversation is about. But in relationships, especially, definitely in marriages, that should be the end goal, right? Even in the Bible, it tells us that all wives are supposed to submit to their own husbands. But while you're dating, while you're in relationships, even if you're married, you could probably watch this. I am not married yet, but this advice is for people planning to get into relationships and why you may want to reconsider getting into one where you are required to go 50-50 on expenses, right? So yeah, as I was saying, submission and leadership. Men are designed to be leaders, and women are designed to, well, instinctively, be submissive. And this is something that I had to learn, and I will do a separate video talking about this because I was not raised that way. I was not raised to see the importance in being submissive, being soft, being feminine, being all these things. And I want to do more videos where I get into this type of conversation. I had to learn that for myself because I was not taught about this at all. Which is why I also did not see anything wrong with being in a 50-50 relationship. And it's until I started to learn these other things, it made me realize that, hey, I can't stand for this anymore. I don't support this anymore at all. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, so when you're in this 50-50 relationship, how does that unfold? How is submission and leadership going to unfold? How can you follow his lead if you also contribute 50% towards your household? You know what I mean? There's always going to be that power struggle because you're like, yeah, well, I'm paying bills here too. I don't have to listen to you. And again, it's not like you're a child and you have to listen to everything he says, but it's designed for a man to be the head of the household. How can you be the head? You know, that's where the power struggles come in, because I'm like, yeah, but I'm paying bills. I shouldn't have to follow your leadership, or I'm my own person. I'm, this big independent woman. I don't need to listen or follow, under your leadership. There's always going to be this power struggle. And also, when you think about it too, what is the difference between that and a roommate? If you have a roommate, you're splitting the expenses, that is understandable. Like, what makes this relationship so different than having a roommate? We're both just paying. We're basically roommates, right? So then why am I going to be submitting to you? You getting me? It just sets you up for so much conflict, and I'd rather not have that or have to deal with that. The next point, and this I feel like is my heaviest or one of my heaviest points, and that is childbearing. When you are splitting finances 50-50 down the line, half the rent, half the utilities, even if it's not split exactly down the middle, right? And you're in a relationship, let's say you're married, or you're married. You're only supposed to be having this conversation if you're married, even though I did not take my own advice. Well, I was younger. We're not getting into that. We know better now, so we're gonna do better now, right? But yeah, you're getting to the point you're gonna have children, and I think before I get into it, I feel like it's so dangerous for you to think, well, we can go 50-50 now while we don't have children, and then when the children come, it's going to be something different. There's no guarantee on that. You need to date or you need to accept people for who they are right now, because there is no guarantee that the situation would change when that child comes around. You're getting me? You have no guarantee that this is going to go exactly as you plan when this child comes around, right? So we need to start being more intentional with our dating and not just avoid these relationships altogether, because again, you have no guarantee that as things progress, it's going to change in your favor, right? So like I was saying, when you're getting into childbearing, I'm paying half the bills, he's paying half the bills. Now you are expecting a child together. How does that work? Because when you think about it, you are giving 100% into this pregnancy. And I know people like to have the argument where the child is also on his mind, he's thinking about the child, and I'm not denying the importance of that. But so what? Am I just carrying this child and the child is not on my mind? I'm not thinking about this child. I am not emotionally invested in this child. It's crazy to think that, right? I'm also, perhaps even more, thinking about this child. So now we're leveling it off. You're thinking about the child, I'm thinking about the child. You are emotionally falling in love with this child, even from the time it's growing in my belly, and I am doing the same thing. But now when we get to the physical aspect of things, there's only one person, if you're being really, one person that I'm putting up two fingers. There's only one person that is actually physically carrying this child. One. That is a load that you are carrying by yourself. Where is his 50% in that? Do you think that's fair? Do you think that's right to have to go to work? Imagine your belly is big, you're in your 6 month, even if you're not that big, because in the early parts of pregnancy now you're having morning sickness, you're throwing up, you're feeling weak, your body is now adjusting. So at any point throughout your pregnancy, it's still gonna be exhausting, and it's still not right for you to have to go to work while being pregnant so that you can pay bills while he just pays his half. That doesn't sound like a fair trade to me. You getting me? Imagine you're having to stand for hours. Let's say you work at some fast food outlet, you work at Subway, you work at Pennywise or one of these places. You have to stand for hours and you're pregnant. That is exhausting by itself. Just imagine doing that while pregnant. Even if you're in a corporate job, you have to wear this suit and sit at this cubicle. Even sitting for hours, your feet can be so swollen after having to do that for hours. So please explain to me how you're doing this. This is a solo contribution on your part. You're 100% into this aspect of things by yourself. And now you have to still contribute 50% towards the income. I can't wrap my brain around that. That does not make sense to me. I will never ever advise or encourage a woman to go through that, allow herself to go through that. And don't be so caught up in being an independent woman that you are being stupid, that you are giving 150 while someone else gives 50, or you're doing 100% in this area while they do 0 in this area, or you're doing 80, they're doing 20, and still half of the expensive. That can never, ever, 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 ever make sense to me. Never. The next point would be raising your child. And again, this is kind of like a part 2 to the point previously about the pregnancy aspect of things, like going through the process of pregnancy, giving birth as well, all the risks associated with that, putting your life on the line to carry on this man's bloodline. No. I can't work. Right. Now we're looking at the raising the child. So now you had this baby. Your body is changed forever. From your boobs to your belly, stretch marks, you gain weight. You have to try to find yourself back. You're doing this while contributing 50% towards the household. It is not a fair trade, and you're also not going to be able to enjoy your pregnancy as much because you're so caught up in working, you're so caught up figuring out how to pay these bills, you're so caught up wondering how this is going to get paid for. When you're able to have him provide for you, you are able to relax, which is going to be better for you and your health during pregnancy, and also for your baby's health, right? And it's also going to help you to more likely have a smoother labor, easier labor and delivery, things like that. So now we're after the fact. The baby is born, your body is now not the way it used to be. That's a permanent sacrifice, again, one that you alone made. And you're still gonna pay 50% of the bills? No way, we're not doing that. That makes no sense. It's not a fair trade, right? You're giving way more of yourself when you get into these 50-50 relationships, and this person is not, their contribution can never compare to that, right? Their contribution can never compare to the one that you are doing. And again, we're after the fact we're raising this child. Now you have to breastfeed. I know different people choose different alternatives. That's on you. I definitely advocate for breastfeeding. That's again another solo contribution. It's taking a lot of time, a lot of energy from you. It is painful. You can get engorged. There are so many things that people fail to consider. And again, all of this would be a solo contribution, something that you alone are doing for this relationship. And this child is equally his. Just as much as this child is his child, it's also yours. Yet you are the one making this sacrifice on your body, on your mental health as well, right? And then most likely, if you have been working, for Trinidad, I know we have 3 months maternity leave, right? When that 3 month time is over, now you have to send your child off by a relative. You are not guaranteed that this child will be taken care of at the level that you would take care of this child, or you have to find a stranger to send them at daycare. And this video is not to bash people who have no choice in the matter. The dad is not involved. This is like a video that I hope you would watch if you're in the early stages of a 50-50 relationship, or if you are planning to get into a relationship. It's just to help you reconsider maybe not getting into one where a man expects you to go 50-50 with him, right? If you're already in a situation like this is your reality, maybe this video is just not for you, right? We do have a choice at some point, right? But if you are still in a position where you have a choice, you maybe want to choose better, so yeah, you're having to hand your baby off. 3 months. I can just imagine or try to remember my child at 3 months old. So tiny, so perfect and cute and all those things. And having to hand this innocent baby off to a stranger. That is so traumatizing. I can just imagine how traumatizing that is, not just for the mom, but also for the baby. Imagine just how traumatizing that would be, right? To have to rip you apart from the person that you've been living in for the past 9 months and the person that has been breastfeeding you and connecting with you. That is insane. It's completely insane that you'd have to do that, right? But again, you're in a 50-50 relationship. These bills need to get paid. That does not sound right at all. At all. Nothing about that is right, or it just should not be acceptable, because I believe that again, God gave you this gift. This child is a gift to you from God, a blessing from God. To me, the best person that can ever take care of this child would be you, right? Your womb was blessed with this child. You should be the one caring for this child. And being in a 50-50 relationship does not allow you the flexibility to do things like this, right? You would have to be handing your precious bundle of joy off to someone else. Someone else is going to be seeing these memories, first steps, all these different things that I believe you should be the one getting to experience, right? This is why I am not, I, if I had a daughter, I would never encourage her to do that, because I do believe that that's one of your main jobs as a woman, is to raise the children that you create. Someone else is going to be doing that for you if you have to go out there and work and pay bills. And even if you are a woman, and I know some women really do enjoy their independence, and I get that. If you are one of those, like you worked hard at your career and you just don't want to give it up, that is a personal choice. That's fine. I still feel like you should have at least a year home. You should still have the option to spend at least an entire year dedicated to being a mom to your child. Or even beyond that, I'd go beyond that and say up to at least preschool, because until your child is at the age for preschool, kindergarten, whatever you want to call it, they're like what, 3 and a half. They can speak more. If someone does something, they're able to tell you. When you're having to send a baby off, even if it's by a relative, you never know what can be happening there, and you have no control of it because you just don't have a choice, right? We really need to be smart, ladies, because these 50-50 relationships, we don't think about it. And again, your girl started off that way. So I am speaking from experience. Despite the fact that I'm young, your girl was fast and furious and being biggish and forthright. So we had to learn things the hard way. But lucky for me, my situation changed. I pay no bills. I don't pay any bills. That's none of my business. Rent, that's a big boy bill. That has nothing to do with me. Why am I out here paying big boy bills? No way. Um, Utilities, another big boy bill. None of my business. But I'm the one at home caring for my child, and I feel like I thrive the best in this environment. Um, just to share a little personal info here. I worked during my pregnancy. It was not fun. It was not fun at all, right? But even from them, things started shifting. I was paying less and less and less, and now I pay none, right? But you don't have the guarantee that your partner will allow that, or that the person would change, or that the circumstances would change to allow you to do that, you know? Yeah. But again, the good thing about when I used to work, I worked from home during my pregnancy. There was a point where I had to go in office and hated it for about a month or so, maybe less than a month. Yeah. In my early pregnancy, it was about a month, and then coming down to the end, I had to go for maybe a week or two in office. It was the worst. I hated it so bad. But I did that because another reason why I did not want to leave too, I also did not want to leave yet because of my maternity leave. I didn't want to miss out on my maternity leave. But even after I came off of maternity leave, I went back. I had to continue working. My child was 3 months old, exactly 3 months and 2 days old when I started working, and I continued to work up until he was about 8 months old, and then I was able to hand in my resignation. Let me tell you, that is so exhausting. It is so exhausting having to work and take care of baby and do all these things because, and again, that's where my next point is going to come in. Um, the workload is not evenly shared. And yes, you may have a partner who would wash clothes a bit more, do more laundry, or cook more. But for me, I wanted to breastfeed. And then my child, he was not interested in me giving him any bottles. He would not take that bottle, not for nothing. So he was determined to breastfeed. And you know, as a baby, you're basically up, eat, sleep, breastfeed, back to sleep again, right? He was very small within this time frame. So I naturally would be the one doing more of the childcare. But again, you're still paying bills. So you're wearing a hat. You're wearing the hat of a mom as a parent and doing a lot more of the domestic labor, right? You are wearing that hat majority of the times. And then you still have to also come and contribute financially while they are just doing the financial part. That's not a fair trade, and that is not okay, and it's exhausting. It's one way that is definitely something that can cause a woman to go into or to experience postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. Like, you can get these things even without having all that. So just imagine having these extra loads on your shoulders. No way. No way. It's not fun. But again, by the time my son was 8 months old, I was able to resign, and now I pay no bills. I'm very happy to say that. Again, this could have gone very differently. And immediately, as soon as, like, the day I resigned, the weight just melted off. I was able to throw myself into motherhood even more. And I mean, I've been doing that because I am a bit extra. I'm always going the extra mile, but now I'm able to focus way more on that. And I've gotten feedback, like my mood around the house is way happier. Like, I am interacting more. I am just lighter and happier since I was able to stop doing that and just fully involve myself in the role that I believe was created for me. I feel like women should be the one caring for their own children, right? That's just my 2 cents. But yeah, let's go to the next point. So the next and last point, and I kind of touched on it in the last point, would be an unequal sharing of tasks. The tasks are never equally divided. And there are men paying half of the, I'll come close to y'all for this one. We have men paying 50% of the bills. and still have the audacity. You know, men buy audacity wholesale. Not bad talking men, but they tend to get it at a wholesale price apparently. But men, there are men, not saying all men, but there are men paying 50% of the bills, and they still are of the opinion, or they still have the belief that household tasks, childcare, all these things are a woman's job. Please explain it to me because I must be missing something. How can you expect to still, and again, I don't 100% disagree with them. I do believe what the Bible tells us about, like when we look at the Proverbs 31 woman, when we look at Titus 2 from verse 5, older women are to teach their younger women how to be good mothers and wives, right? Things like that. Like, I believe personally that a woman's primary job is to be in the home, caring for the home, caring for the children. I feel like that is my primary job or my primary task. I strongly believe that. However, how can you have that expectation when I am still giving 50% towards the expenses or the expenses of the home? I will not be able to thrive in that in my role, right? And then even if we decide, all right, let's go half and half with this too. We're paying half the bills, we didn't have the childcare. There will be a lot of times where one person has to do more, where one person has to pick up more slack, where one person has to do a little extra. And in a lot of situations, again, this may be working for you. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I think there are too many disadvantages for this to even be an option, right? But there are many cases or instances where one person would be picking up a bit more slack. And then now we have this unhealthy habit formed within the relationship where we're kind of keeping score. And I don't believe that that's something that should be happening in like that. That would be a source of conflict, in my opinion. If we have to constantly keep score, who did what this time? And if you don't do it, it's like, oh, the last time you didn't do it, I had to tell you to do it. You should know. I think so much conflict would be avoided if we are able to sit in our own roles. We would be able to thrive in our roles, the roles that we were created for, and they would be able to thrive in their role, right? If we are able to be occupied at home, taking care of the home, doing what we need to do, um, not having to worry about bills, we will thrive. And yeah, I don't think there's anything more that I can say on this. I don't support it, and I feel like if you are a younger woman, you're younger than me, or maybe if you're older than me but you don't have kids yet, I would say try to do things the right way up front. Don't be like, if you while you still have someone who can give you the advice or give you like a little bit of insight to know like, hey, this is not it. You don't need to go and see for yourself. Because I went and I saw for myself and I was traumatized. I'm never doing that again. And again, things worked out in my favor. That may not be the case for you, right? If you're dating, and again, this does not mean when you're dating, like you're now getting to know someone. I am not saying that you're living in your own apartment, he's living in his apartment, and he has to pay the rent for your apartment. That's not what I'm saying at all. At all, at all, at all. But even in that, even if you're still, in a point where you're living together, you would start seeing if this man is a provider or not. You would start seeing that. Is he planning the date? Who is the one planning the dates? Or if you go on a date, are you paying half? Are you paying for yourself? And again, those are entirely different conversations, right? Or if you are already in a situation where you're living with someone or you're married, and you don't may not have kids yet, we need to start ironing these things out, because when children come, or as the relationship continues to progress, then we would start having conflict. I feel like if you are able to get into a relationship where you can be in your feminine state and adhere to the role that you were created for, I feel like you would thrive, you would be better, there would be less conflict, you would be happier, and yeah, that's all I can say. All right, ladies, that brings me to the end of today's video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Give me your story time. Tell me if you have ever been in a 50-50 relationship. If you still, after hearing the points that I made, think that 50-50 relationships are okay, please tell me why. Please tell me why you think that. Or if you understand my perspective and you agree with what I said, also share that with me. Tell me why you think that relationships, or marriages or whatever, should not require a woman to financially contribute. Basically, that's what I'm saying in all this, right? Again, I hope that you enjoyed. I will be sure to link my social media accounts in the description box below. Be sure to check out my Instagram, my Facebook, my business pages. Everything is going to be linked down below. And if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to let me know. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. Bye.